Now that you have already completed basic setup of PHP development environment, you're now ready to create your first PHP site. The first thing you need to do is ensure that your server is running. So if you're using XAMPP, ensure that XAMPP is running, and if you're using map, ensure that map is running. I'm just going to quickly turn mine on. I need Apache for this section, so I'll just turn Apache on. We're not going to be doing anything with MySQL yet. Next, to create a site, you need to open the htdocs folder, because inside that folder is where we will be creating our PHP site. So I'm just going to open mine. Depending on where you installed it, I installed mine in D drive. I'm going to look for XAMPP and then htdocs. And right here, I'm going to create a new folder. Call this folder First Site. So the next thing you need to do is open this folder within a text editor. So I'm going to be using an IDE. You can use any text editor of your choice, Sublime Text, or any other one that you like to use, but I will be using PHP Storm all through this course. So I'm going to click on Open, and then I'm going to locate D drive, and then XAMPP, htdocs, First Site. So I'll select First Site and then click on OK. Right, so this is a blank PHP project. I'm going to create a new file in here. Choose a PHP extension file and name this file index. So this will be index.php. Click on OK. So now we are just going to display a simple text. Echo my first PHP site. Then end it with a semicolon. Save this file and then navigate to your web browser and then type in localhost first site. And there you see the text that we type into the editor, my first PHP site. A couple of things that I would like to explain to you. For example, we named the file in our project index.php. So if you come here, you see it is index.php. It could have been anything, like for example, we create a new file and just call this test.php. Then basically we're going to do the same thing, echo test page. And then save it. So navigate to the web browser and then put /test.php. And here we see the test. Okay, so why is it important for us to use index instead of using any other file name? So the reason why we need to use index is that by default, when you make an HTTP request to a site directory, in this case, first_site will be our site directory. Okay, when you make a request to this site without specifying a name of a file like we did here, test.php, the web server is actually going to try to serve you the default page. And that default page turns out to be index. It could be index.html, index.php, or in some application, it could be main or default. All right, so I'm just going to illustrate this for you. Come over here. And then I'm going to delete index.php. I've deleted index.php. We'll go over to the web browser again. And then I'm going to remove this. And then just hit enter. Right now you see it is not loading any file. Instead, it shows me the directory structure. This is because Apache tried to look for index.html, index.php, and it couldn't find any of this. So what it did was just to display the content of the directory. So if we add index.html here, so we'll create a new file here, site, new, call this index.html, okay? Just set the title to test page, and within the body, we're just going to open a paragraph and say HTML index. Save this, navigate over to the browser again, and then do a refresh, you see here we have HTML index. Alright, so the second thing that I want to highlight to you now is because we are using HTML extension here, if we write a PHP code in here, the server is not going to be able to interpret it. So I'm just going to put a PHP tag in here and say echo testing PHP inside .html. I'm going to save this and then open a browser, give it a refresh. All right, so refresh this page and then you see nothing to do with the PHP that we wrote there. If we do view page source, you can see it literally just print out all the text here, but actually because we are using the extension .html, the PHP interpreter is not able to actually pass our script to return the output. So it is very important to ensure that the file name has a .php extension whenever you are going to include a PHP script in the file. So what I'm going to do here is going to rename this file, change the extension to .php, changing this to index.php. And right now we are going to do a refresh. And here you see testing PHP inside HTML. This is because right now we have index.php instead of index.html. And if we also come here and do a refresh, you can see instead of showing the PHP tags, it's just display the testing PHP inside HTML. So it's very important to take note of this. The extension that you're using matters. When you are writing PHP code inside of any file, you should change the file extension to .php. Otherwise, the PHP interpreter is going to ignore your script. To wrap up this lecture, I'm going to show you one more thing. We'll go over to the directory again. Right here, we have first site. So if we want to create a second site, all we need to do is actually click on new folder, call it second site. And within the second site, we can begin to create PHP files in here. So if I go to my text editor, and then click open directory, and now I want to open second site. Second site is empty. Right click, new PHP file, call this index, and then just echo second site. Save this and then navigate to the browser. So right now, instead of first site, we are going to say second site. So say come here and say second underscore site. And here we are in the second site. So you can actually create as many projects as you want inside the htdoc folder. Just create a new directory and put your PHP files inside that directory. So in this lecture, you have learned how to create a PHP site. You've learned the difference between using HTML extension and PHP extension. And then you have also learned why we need to have a special file, which is called index. We'll continue from here in the next lecture.